29, you'll find that, there's no need to go into that, Prabhu. You'll find one very important thing. You'll find that towards the end of these chapters, Kapila Dev tells his mother that Krishna is so powerful that the wind blows out of fear of him. The sun shines out of fear of him. All the different elements are moving. All the planets are orbiting out of fear of Krishna. This is why Krishna is Jagat Pranati. So this is why Krishna is universally obeyed. Sometimes we think, how can he be universally obeyed? The demons are not obeying him. Universally obeyed means whether you like it or not, I will force you to obey. That is Krishna. So either we bow down before Krishna out of our own endeavors and humility, or Krishna will force us to bow before him. We should not be in that situation. We should always be in a situation where we are ready to bow before Krishna. Sometimes even devotees don't want to bow before Krishna. Bowing before Krishna doesn't mean we're not bowing before Jagannath. We're all bowing before Jagannath. But the real bowing is, are you prepared to listen to his will? If Krishna doesn't want something to happen, why are you going against his will? You have tried and nothing is happening. Still you want to try. Then you are forced by Krishna to universally obey him. You see the point? So this is Krishna in all his glory and all his power. We should never test Krishna. Please don't test Krishna. Because if you test Krishna, instead of something coming out the way you want it to, believe me, by Sastras, it will turn out much worse than you think it is. Because you think you have a material solution to a material problem. But you know, Prahlad Maharaj just said, Dukkha-aushadam tadapi dukkha matadhyayam. When you try to solve a material problem with a material solution, the material solution is very often worse than the material problem. So we should not do that. So Krishna is universally obeyed. But now, even though he is so powerful, even though he is universally obeyed, whether people want to or not, now Parikshit Maharaj is thinking, still Krishna is so merciful that he rendered all kinds of services to the Pandavas. Generally, if you hear from Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, right? I think it's 6th or 7th verse. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yathor bhakti radok saje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Krishna, Shukadev Goswami says that actually our supreme occupational duty is to render devotional service to the Supreme. In other words, we are supposed to render service to Krishna. And that service must be ahaituki apratihata. There must be no motivation to that service. And there must be no interruption because there's no motivation. Only when we do that do we actually become satisfied. So think about it. If we are now performing devotional service in that mood, then in any material situation we are, our mind will not disturb us. You see the point? If your mind is disturbing you, the reason for it is not someone else, it is not your friend, your family, your employer, it is not all these things. The reason why your mind is disturbed is because your motivation to perform devotional service is not correct. It is not correct. There is some designation, there is some ulterior motive, and that is why we are disturbed, right? You know, just by seeing the faces of devotees, we can come to tell who is peaceful, who is disturbed. Just by seeing the faces, we come to know the sadhana, we come to know what is in their mind, what is not in their mind. Because we cannot hide these things. We cannot hide them. So even though Bhagavatam tells us that Krishna is so powerful that our duty is to render service to him, in 1.16.16, we understand that Krishna is causelessly merciful to his devotees in such a way that he can render service. And to the Pandavas specifically, what service he rendered. Look at all the things he did here. First of all, he accepted different services. The word post is there, but post means actually services. Because it's not like he was accepting a post in the sense that he was a very high person. Read the kinds of things he did. Krishna became a chariot driver. He became a chariot driver to Arjuna. Chariot driver is considered the lowest position, menial position in war. And a chariot driver has a thankless task Because I've told you this many times, chariot drivers don't have the luxury of being told, Krishna, can you please turn right? Can you please turn left? Take a detour, speed up, slow down. No. Krishna would be kicked on his right blade, on his left blade, in the center, because there was no time for Arjuna to communicate these things to Krishna. But Krishna accepted it. Every time Krishna was kicked, every time Krishna performed menial service, it was like the devotees were offering garlands to him. Just like this garland of roses is so soft, Krishna did not feel the hard kicks of Arjuna as hard. He felt them like the petals of roses because of the mood in which Krishna accepted this service. You see it? So sometimes we must learn from Krishna. Sometimes when we take up a service, we become so disturbed by the service because our mood is all wrong. That is why we are disturbed. Nothing wrong with the service. Everything is wrong with our attitude. Prabhupada writes in the Preface of Nectar of Instruction that it is one's attitude that determines one's advancement in devotional service. If our attitude to devotional service is not correct, then advancement is not there. We'll just sit there and be very happy, I'm devotee. By name we are, by designation we are, but by behavior we are not. So that is why, see Krishna, he became a chariot driver. Then he became a president of the assembly of the Rajasuya sacrifice. You may think president is very exalted, but if you read Krishna book, you realize being a president was a very difficult task because there were so many naysayers who were against the Pandavas and particularly against Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Krishna had a very difficult time in the Rajasuya assembly. Then Krishna became messenger. That's another very, very lowly post. Because messenger means he has to run here and there. And what was he a messenger for? He became a messenger for the Pandavas to go over to Hastinapur and to meet the Kauravas and to tell them, please, the Pandavas, they only want a very, very, very small portion of land. Right? Right at the tip of the hair. That's all we want. We don't even want more. That was the message Krishna had to send to the Kauravas. And therefore, in doing so, he had to try to mediate. But even then, the Kauravas were so rude to Krishna. They were so haltingly proud to Krishna that Duryodhana famously said, I will not even part with even, right, a little bit, not even a tip of the hair will I even part. All the Pandavas wanted were 5 villages, that's all. If you are in India, you know 5 villages is nothing, right? It's nothing, especially for someone as exalted as the Pandavas. But Duryodhana said, no, not even the tip of my hair. That much land I can give you. I can't. And Arjuna was not there to be the messenger. Krishna was the messenger. You see the point? So Krishna had to hear that. And he came back like a simple, humble messenger. That's all he did. Then the next pose he took was he was a friend. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead being a friend is not ordinary. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is held in awe and reverence by all 3 worlds. He is independent. And yet he gave his friendship freely to Krishna and the Pandavas. And then I really like this one. Not only was he a watchman, but if you read the word-to-word transliteration, Prabhupada translates as Veera Asana. He accepted the post of a watchman, but he drew a sword and held the sword all through the night. What a detail Prabhupada gives actually. It's one thing to be a watchman outside, sitting there. Nowadays, watchmen, you don't really have to work very hard. You just sit there and that's it, finish, right? Mostly watchmen are retired people. I always used to think, why are retired people watchmen? If there was a thief, right, these people cannot do anything. They'll be the first ones to die of a heart attack because they're old. But Krishna was not that kind of a watchman. Krishna was a watchman who held a sword and he was standing outside with a sword. Imagine that. Imagine. And that means Krishna never went to sleep. Of course, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. He doesn't have to sleep. He's making good use of his time. But even then, he doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to do this. I think I've told you this, right? Whenever I think of night watchmen, I think of the night watchman in Rajkot temple. The night watchman in Rajkot temple will appear sharp during Mangalarti time. He's always there. But before that, he's sleeping very soundly. And whenever we ask him, we keep telling him we want to fire him. But he's been with us for what, 25 years now? The only reason why we don't fire him is his answer, you see. He says, why should I not sleep? Krishna is protecting himself. I don't have to worry. I sleep very well. In the morning I wake up for Mangalarti, and he's the only one in Mangalarti who's dancing. Everybody else is like a zombie, but he's dancing. Because he's had good sleep. This is Krishna's mercy, you see. So therefore Krishna himself became a watchman. And so Prabhupada is writing, Shukadeva Goswami, Arjuna, Shukadeva Goswami is writing this to show us how intimate, how personal is Krishna with his devotees. And see, after the description, what is the most important line after the description? Etc. After etc., that means there were many other posts, many other services that Krishna took, but there's no space in the verse. And then Shukadeva Goswami says something very important here. Krishna did all these services according to the will of the Pandavas. He didn't do it against the will of the Pandavas. He didn't do it according to his will. He did it according to the will of the devotees. This is how we make advancement in devotional service. We very often cannot make advancement because we do something according to our will. A classic example is a disciple who approaches a spiritual master. Actually, the disciple has made up his mind what to do, what they want to do. Then they will come up to the spiritual master and say, Maharaj, if you don't mind, I'm seeking your instructions. I need your guidance. So the spiritual master says, what's your guidance? What's the question? They give a question. Now when they give the question, after giving the question, they don't ask for directions. They ask for blessings. Do you know how sneaky that is? Think about it. Very often devotees approach us. They say, Prabhu, we want to do this. We ask for blessings. Actually, they want to do it. It doesn't matter. But what they want is endorsement. Just endorse that what I do will be okay. If you sanction it, well, then nobody can say it's wrong. That's cheating. That's cheating propensity. Because you're not interested in hearing whether what you're going to do is right or wrong. You're just interested in doing whatever you want. And then you come to the devotee and say, seeking your blessings, seeking your blessings. There is no blessings there. If you want blessings, you go according to the will of the Lord. You go according to the will of the devotees. If you respect the devotee as your siksha, as your diksha, then when they tell you don't do something, you be malleable to their will. The word is malleable. You follow. You learn to crush your own false ego. Otherwise, we just do whatever we want. Sometimes we say we have a Diksha Guru, but we go to Guru just for blessings to do whatever we want. We are not interested in hearing. Srila Prabhupada gave a good example in his Leelamrita actually. One time Srila Prabhupada asked for water. His disciple went inside and got milk for Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, I asked for water. Disciple said, no, milk is better. Prabhupada said, if a spiritual master asks for water, that's exactly what he wants. If you get him milk, that's not what he wants. That is not according to his will. That is according to your will. Do you see the point? There is a difference. So remember, this year, don't come and ask devotees for blessings to do whatever you want to do. If you want to ask for blessings, then you be prepared to move according to the will of Guru, Sadhu and Sastra. Otherwise, don't ask. No point. Don't ask for endorsements. Because you can't cheat Krishna, you see. You can cheat the devotee, but you can't cheat Krishna. So that is why Krishna is so powerful that he went according to the will of the Pandavas. Even though he is Supreme Absolute Truth, he is Sachit Ananda Vigraha, he is completely independent, and yet he was ready to follow the will of the devotees. Why can't we, who are not independent, not supreme, not absolute, not Supreme Absolute Truth, not Sachit Ananda Vigraha, we can't follow the will of the Lord, neither can we follow the will of the devotees. That is where our advancement in devotional service is checked. This is a very important point. Then how did Krishna follow the will of the Pandavas? By obeying them like a servant. This is the mood of a devotee. A devotee's mood is that of a servant. That is the mood. The Lord is showing in this verse how we should actually behave. A servant doesn't tell his master what to do, isn't it? The servant always is ready to do what the master wants. And yet if the master is kind, the master will say, you tell me what you want. And that's what Krishna did. Krishna could do that with the Pandavas because the Pandavas never took advantage of Krishna's mercy. This is very important. Sometimes, if we are not careful, we take the advantage of Krishna's mercy and we push for more and more and more. Supposing Krishna has already saved us from a very difficult situation, we should be grateful to him and move on with our devotional service. But we can't. We want more, and we want more, and we want more. Remember one thing, whatever that is with us now is needed. Whatever that is not with us now is wanted. If you run after the wants, you will become frustrated. If you are satisfied with your needs, you will be peaceful. And that is why Krishna was so much obedient to the Pandavas. Because the Pandavas' nature was that they never asked anything from Krishna. 13 years in exile, 1 year of that incognito. Did they ever ask Krishna in the whole of Mahabharata, Krishna, take us out of this exile. Krishna, you can take us out of all this. Krishna, if you wanted, right, you can decimate the whole Kauravas and give us all our lands. Did they ever ask even one time? Any one of the 5 even? None of them did that. Never. Why? Because they were ready to follow the will of Krishna.